Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. And if this is your first time here, thank you for subscribing, and if you are a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. Now in today's tutorial, we're going to do drafting a bodice for a plus size woman or a plus size person. If you fall in the range of a plus size and you want to draft your own clothes and you ain't finding any tutorial on how to draft for plus size, you are at the right place. So in this video, I'm going to show you step by step how to draft for a plus size woman. We're going to do the top first, how to draft for a plus size. I will show you how to divide the measurement, how to add ease, how to add stitching line, and how to add measurement for the dart. So all who want to learn how to draft the for plus size, if this video is for you and you want to see more, grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of juice, relax, sit back and enjoy the ride. And let's get into the drafting. So what you would need to draft this bodice, now we are only doing the bodice pattern, right? And remember, this bodice is for a plus size person. So whatever measurement your bust is, whatever measurement your waist is, whatever measurement your hip is, do exactly as you see I am doing. Follow along. You can rewind the video, you can rewatch it, and do exactly what I am doing, and your clothes will fit you good. What I am teaching you is what worked for me, right? Everybody draft different, everybody style different, everybody do different thing. What I am bringing to you is what I find work best for me, right? So if you want to do what I am doing, what learn best to me, you can follow along. So what we will need to draft this pattern, you would need a paper. You'd need, I am using, the paper I'm using is printing sheet. I will be using the 11.5 by 17 paper, and I would stick 3 of them sheet together or 4 of them sheet together for the front pattern and 4 of the sheet together for the back pattern. So we will draft the front pattern and we will draft the back pattern. So you would need paper, you would need your measurement, you would need a measuring tape, you would need your armhole curve, you would need your hip curve ruler, because we will be using the armhole curve and the hip curve ruler in this drafting, right? And you will need a pen and a paper to write down your measurement. You would need a calculator, or you could use your phone so we can calculate the measurement so that we can begin drafting. And if you want to support my channel, there's a PayPal link down below. You can support me with whatever you want to support me. And thank you very much for your support and supporting my channel, and thank you for your donation. I appreciate it, and thank you very much. So before further ado, let's get into drafting for this plus size video, because I fall in the plus size range. As I just tell people, once you pass large, you're in the plus size. You're not medium, you're not small. There ain't got nothing in between small and medium. It's either large, extra large, 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, 0XL, and these things. So once you meet into the extra large, we are plus size. So I will show you how to draft your plus size measurement. Alright, so grab your cup of coffee, gather all your tools, and meet me at the drafting table, and I will see you, and heads up to you, and I love you. So let's get drafting, and I'll see you. Enjoy this drafting. If you like these classes, leave the comment down below, and let's begin. Okay guys, so we're gonna do plus size measurement and how to measure for plus size, right? And we're gonna write these measurement down. So the first thing you're gonna do, you're gonna get a piece of paper. You're gonna get a piece of paper here. You're going to also get a pen and you're going to mark these measurements down, because the measurement we are doing is a plus size, right? I'm going to work with a plus size today, so we're going to do a little measuring here, and I'm going to show you how to measure for plus size measurement, right? So grab your tape and grab a pen, grab a book, so you can write this down. So the measurement we're working with today for plus size, we're gonna work with 44 bus, right? So we're gonna work with a bus 44, right? We're gonna work with a bus 44. We're gonna work with a waist 41. We're gonna work with a waist 41. We're gonna work with a hip 60, right? We're gonna work with a hip 60 inches. So all these is in inches here, right? All these measurement is in inches. So the bust will be 44, the waist will be 41, the hip would be 60. Now I'm going to show you how to get these measurements, to divide them, and how to add ease to these measurements here, right? So we're gonna work with this this plus size measurement here. We're gonna work with. So we're gonna work with this measurement here, right? So this is your let me just something updating here. So let's say this is your body, right? This is the plus size measurement with the mannequin we're working with. Let's say this is your body that we have here. Now the first thing you're gonna do, for you get a proper fit for your plus size, we have a number of measurement we would need to take. But let's say you just want a quick top or a quick dress or a quick skirt, and you don't want to go into much of all these details for draft a top. You just want to draft a simple top where you could just knock up a simple dress, or maybe a simple skirt, a simple top, or a dress, or whatever. So the first thing we're gonna do, we got to get the shoulder measurement. So be from shoulder to shoulder, you need to get this measurement here, right? Now you need to get this measurement from shoulder to shoulder. So you need this shoulder measurement here. Normally between the shoulder measurement here for a plus size person, around the shoulder measurement here for a plus size person, it would be around 19 to 17, around somewhere around. It could be 16, it could be 17, it could be 18, it could be 19, it could even be 20, or sometimes 21. It depends upon your what plus size range you fall in, because in the plus size range you got 0XL, you got XL, you got 2XL, you got 3XL. So it depends upon the range you fall in, right? So this plus size what we are working here with, we're gonna work with the 44 bust. So the first thing you need to get the shoulder measurement here, right? So let's say your shoulder measurement is 19 inches. So we're gonna work with this shoulder measurement. So we're gonna put shoulder. This is shoulder. Next, you need to get this from the shoulder to the bust. You need to get this measurement here. So let's say from your shoulder to your bust is 12 inches or 11 inches, right? Or your shoulder to your bust could be from your shoulder to your bust. Let me just stand this up so you could see, right? So let's say from your shoulder here, from your shoulder right here, okay, to your bust, it could be 12 inches. So let me work with the 12 inches. So shoulder to bust is 12 inches, right? We're working with it, let's say 12 inches. Now you need to get the shoulder to waist, right? Let's say your shoulder to waist is 20 inches. So shoulder to waist, right? Let's say it's 20 inches. Because you need to get from your shoulder to your bust, and then from your shoulder to your waist, right? So let's say that is 20 inches. You just want a quick tap, so there's 20 inches. Now you need to get your waist, right, which in the fullest part of your waist. So your waist is 41, right? So you need to get around your waist. You get around the fullest part of your bust. You need that. Let's say your fullest part of your bust is 44, and you need to get around your hip. Let's say the fullest part of your hip is 60 inches. Now, you need to get the measurement from the waist to the hip right here. So let's say from your waist, to your hip is about 9 inches to 12 inches, right? Let's work with that from your head. Let me say it depends on if you're a tall, thick person. You're going to carry a little more hip. So let's say from your waist to your hip is 10 inches. So waist to hip, right? Let's say it's 10 inches. So now, let's say you want the length of the dress from your waist to your knee to be 27 inches. So length, right, gonna be 27 inches. So let me say the overall dress gonna be 40 inches. You put it from your shoulder to your thing. I will show you how to do that. So we're gonna calculate these measurements. So let me show you how to measure. Forget these measurements. So the first thing we need the shoulder to shoulder measurement, right? Then the next thing we're gonna need from the neck to the length of the waist, right? So let's say the length of your waist from your back, the length of your back waist is 16 inches. So let me put back waist. Let's put it 16 inches, right? So your back waist you need to get as well. And we need the front waist. So for measure for the front waist, you're gonna measure from your shoulder quite over your bust, and then you come down to the waist. So let's say this measurement is 19 inches, right? So let's say the front waist is 19 inches. Okay, 19 inches. Then you need to get your across front here. You need to get the across front right here. So let's say your across front is 21 inches. It's 21 inches, right? So let me say your across front is 21 inches. You need to get your across back. Let's say your across back is 19 and a half, right? Let's say it's 19 and a half, because I think some people are across back wider, some people are across back shorter, across back more shorter, more narrow than the front. Some people front more wider than the back, some people back more wider than the front. So it all depends on the plus size you are, right? Then so we need to get that measurement. So we have that measurement. So we get the across back measurement here. We need the across back measurement. We need the from shoulder to the back waist. We also need from the bust to bust point and then to waist. We need the across shoulder. Then we need the fullest part to the waist. We need the fullest part of the hip. We need the hip depth from the waist to the fullest part of your buttocks here. We need this area here, this full part here, from your waist to this full part. We need that measurement. Then you need the length of the skirt. The next thing we're going to need is this bust point here. From nipple to nipple, we need this measurement from nipple to nipple, right? Then the length of the top, you're going to decide the length of the top you want. So from your shoulder to your hip, let me say you want your length of your top 24 inches. You're going to write the length of the top, right? 24 inches or whichever you want. So now let's divide these measurements here, right? Because this is a simple top you want, okay? So seeing, let me say you finish measuring your body, or you get someone to measure it, we're going to divide this measurement. So I have my calculator here, right? And we're going to divide this measurement. So let's say your bust is 44 inches. So you're going to punch in 44, right? And we're going to 44 inches plus we need so you can put how much ease you want. Normally I would put 2 centimeter ease. When it come into the plus side, it depends, like from size 38 to 40, I'd put 2 inches, like from 48 to 50 I put 4 cm. You know, it go along as how much ease you want to put. So let's say your bust is 44, right? And let's say you want to put half-inch ease or 5/8 ease. It depends on how much ease you want in your clothes. But normally you would put like 2 centimeter for the ease in your bust, 2 centimeter for the waist, 2 centimeter for the hip. It depends on you. So let's put in, let's say you want the ease half-inch at each of these measurements, right? So you're gonna put plus half-inch, right? Plus half-inch plus we need the seam allowance. So for my seam allowance, I like to put like 1 centimeter seam allowance. You could put half-inch, you could put an inch. For plus size, I would prefer to put an inch seam allowance so they would have enough room. So in case they when they cut out the clothes, at least they have enough room for pin, especially under your arm there by the back where you put on the bra. Under the bra just left this mark, like this piece of flesh. At least you don't got enough room for cover that. So let's say we add an inch to this measurement, right? So let's say we add an inch to this measurement. So let me do it over. Let me say we add 44 plus we add in 1 inch for the ease and for the stitching line, right? So we add plus 1 inch, plus 1 inch. So that gives us 45. So the 45 inches having our ease, it having our stitching, our seam allowance and everything, guys. A whole inch you put in there. You could put how much ease you feel you want, right? This is just a rough top I'm giving you. So let's say the measurement is 45 because your bust is 44, and then we add half-inch for the ease, and then we add half-inch for the stitching line, right? So we're gonna divide that 45 by 4, and we end up with 11 1/4. So the normal measurement is 44, right? So 44 plus 1 inches equal 45, and we divide that by 4, right? Give us 11 1/4 inches. There is a remaining of our measurement we're going to work with now to draft this top, right? So this is your final measurement. This 11.5 is your final measurement for your bust, because we done divide it already. So when you're drafting, this is the number you have to use, 11.5, to put on your paper, right? Now we're going to divide the waist now. So your waist is 41. So the waist 41 inches, and we're going to add an inch as well for the ease, the stitching line, and we're going to add an inch for the dart. It depends upon if you want dart in your clothes. If you don't want dart, leave the other inches out of the dart, right? Because some people don't like too much dart, because especially for plus size, they have to get a set of darts and a lot of, the best thing for do for them is make princess seam down the clothes, right? So we're going to divide the waist. So we're going to draft a top with a dart, or you could draft one without the dart. I will show you how to do it 2 ways, right? So with the dart, we get 41 inches is your waist, plus we add in 1 inch, right? for this seam allowance and for your ease, plus 1 inch for the dart, plus we add in 1 inch for the dart. That give us 43 inches. So 43 inches, 41 inches plus 2 inches equal, yeah, so 41 plus 2 inches equal 43. Divide that by 4, right? So we're gonna divide that by 4. Divide that by 4. It left us with 10 and 3/4 inches. So 10 and 3/4 inches, right? So this is your final measurement here. The 10 and 3/4 is what we're gonna put on the line. Now the 11 and 1/4 going on the bust line, the 10 and 3/4 going on the waistline, right? Now for the hip is 60 inches, right? So you're gonna put 60 inches. That's for the hip, 60 inches. And now we're gonna divide that 6 inches. Now you could put ease in this this, if you want, like a 2 centimeter, we would add that, but we're gonna add the same 1 inches like how we add to that. So 60 inches plus 1 inch. Don't work for the ease and the stitching, right? Because remember the hip don't got really. That's if you're drafting a skirt, then you're gonna put in the one for the dart. So let's say you're doing one with the skirt with the dart. So they're gonna put our next inches. So you're gonna put 60 plus 2 inches. So the 2 inches gonna work for the dart, it's gonna work for the ease, and it's gonna work for the stitching line, right? For stitch up the garment. So equal the 62 inches in all for the ease, the dart, the stitching and everything there in this measurement already. That's why we add 2 inches to the 60 inches hip. We add 2 inches. So now we're going to divide this measurement by 4, right? We divided by 4, we left it 15.5. So 60 plus 2 inches for stitching, dart and seam equal 62 inches divided by 4. So we final measurement we left with is 15, right? 15.5. So these 3 measurements here, right, going on the waistline. So this 11.25 going on the bust line, right? They're going on the bust. So the 11.25 going on the bust line. The because your bust is 44 plus we add 1 inches. We divided, give us 45. We divided by 4. We left with the final measurement we left with for the bust is 11.25. So this 11.25 going on the bust line. The final measurement from the waist is 41. 41 we add 2 inches. We get 43. We divided by 4. Because if the 2 inches we add is for ease, dart and stitching. So we get 43. So we divided by 4 with the final measure is 10.75. So this going on the waistline. The hip measurement is 60 inches. 60 inches plus we add 2 inches for the dart, the stitching and the ease. Right? So we get 62. So 62 inches divided by 4. The final measurement is 15.5, which going on the hip line. Now for the shoulder, let's say your shoulder is 20 or 19 inches. We're going to divide the shoulder in half. So the shoulder going to be, so your shoulder is 20 and we divide it in half. We divide it by 2. We end up with 10 inches, right? We're not adding anything to that. So the shoulder to bust is 12 inches. So we're going to leave that as 12 inches because we're measuring down now, not across. These are cross measurement is where the across measurement is where you do like the horizontal measurement you do with the bust, the waist and the hip, the shoulder. Now for the vertical measurement is from the shoulder come down to the waist, right? So we're gonna leave, we divided the shoulder, we get 10 in 2, we get 10. So the shoulder to bust we divide is 12 inches. We leaving that as 12 inches. So shoulder to waist is 20 inches. We leaving that as 20 inches. Right? So there's a shoulder to the waist. Right? So we have shoulder to front waist 19 inches. We leaving that as 19. Right? We scratch out this here. This is the two shoulder to waist I have here. So this measurement here, the 10 inches that we have here, is for the, what was the 10 inches we get? What was the 10 inches we get from where to where? Anyhow, we're going to come back to this. So we got the back waist. Let's say the back waist is 16 inches. We leave in this 16 inches at the back waist. Right? We leave in this 16 inches at the back waist. So we leave in that. Okay? So we have the across front is 21. Right? The across front is 21. We're going to divide that in 2. So we get 10 and a half. Across back is 19. We dividing that in 2. 19 and a half. And we dividing that in 2. Give us 9 and 3/4. Right? So 9 and 3/4. Right? 9 and 3/4 we get in. So the length, we leaving the length like this. The length leaving like this. So your bust point to bust point, we're going to divide it in 4. Let's say it's 10. We divide it in 2, sorry. So we get 5. Alright? Because we dividing this. We get 5. Okay, we dividing the across front, we dividing the across back. So this is the measurement we left with the length. So let's let me just draft this thing for you, right, and show you what I am talking about, so you can get an idea of what we're talking about. Okay, let me just draft it for you. Let me get some paper and let me just draft it for you. So you're gonna get your paper. You're gonna get your paper. You're gonna put some paper together. Now I have stick glue here, and I have some paper here, right? So you're gonna put this together, and we're gonna draft the top, and I will show you how to extend the top in the next video for a skirt. So let's put this paper together. So I'm gonna paste this paper together. So get your paper. Paste it together. Or if you have a big sheet of paper, you don't have to paste this like me. I like to use this printing sheet because it saves me a lot from wasting paper. So I'm gonna put my sheet and paste it together. So this is our outline. Now if you have the good, so this would be your outline here, right? This would be your outline. You would need so I'm gonna use my L shape ruler, because using my L shape gonna give me a better mark out, right? So I've got my ruler. I'll try to use a dark marker where you can see. So I'm going to outline, and for 2 inches down from the paper, I'm going to draft in this line 2 inches, right, from the paper. Because sometimes not always the paper does be straight, all right? So I'm going to draft in the line 2 inches from the top of the paper, and I'm going to come down along my line, straight line here. So this would be our outline for our bus, right? That would be our outline for our bus. Let's see if I get a marker we can see. So now, the measurement you need for this line is your shoulder. So now, where is your bust? What is your bust now? So your bust is your from your bust. Let's get this back. So this is your bust here. So the next measurement you need is from here to here, from your shoulder to your bust. So let's say you need, your bust is 12 inches. You're gonna come down 12 inches on your paper, right? You're gonna come down 12 inches on your paper here, right? You're gonna mark 12 inches on your paper. 12 inches, you're gonna come down on your paper. All right? So your bust is 12 inches, you come down 12 inches. So I'm showing you how we're gonna do it. You're gonna come down 12 inches on your paper, right? My bust is 10 inches, so I will put my own at 10 inches. Your bust is 12 inches, you come down 12 inches on the paper, right? So this is 12. So your bust is 12 inches, my own is 10 inches, right? So I draft in 2 top at once, but your own is 12 inches. I'm going to focus more on the 12, the plus size, because I'm in the plus size range as well. So we coming down, we're taking our measuring tape, we're going down, we're measuring across 12 inches. My own is 10 inches. So your own is 12 inches. So this is 12 inches. My own is 10 inches. So now what we're going to do, we're going to measure down for the waist. So we're going to mark off this here. We're going to mark off your waist, your bust, 12 inches. We're going to mark off this bust. So you're going to get the marking with line up, and you're going to mark 12 inches. So 12 inches. So this is going to be the waist. No, sorry, this is going to be the bust. So this is your bust measurement T. So that is your bust. Now we need the waist. So your waist is from here to the front waist we need. So we're gonna measure. Let's say your front waist is 19 inches. So from your shoulder to your front waist, 19 inches. Shoulder to front waist, 19 inches. And you mark out. So this here is going to be your waist. Your waist. This is your front waist, right? Now we need from the waist to the hip. So from your waist here, we need from your waist here to the hip, the widest part of your hip. So from your waist here now, coming down from this waist, and we're going down. Let's say your hip is 9 inches, or your hip could be 10, your hip could be 11, your hip could be 12, your hip could be 13. It depends on how fluffy, how plus size you are, your hip could be different. Sometimes it could be less, it could be 7, it could be 6, it depends. So we're taking that hip measurement from our waist measurement, which is 9 inches. And we're going to mark this off here. So we're going to continue marking down this line here. Straighten this line here. Right? So this is going to be your hip. Your hip. Now, it depends on if you want, this is just up the hip. You have to lengthen this top. You add how much inches you want for the top. Right? You have to add the inches. So now, we need the across shoulder, which is this measurement here, from shoulder to shoulder. Let's say your across shoulder is 20 inches. We're going to divide it in half and we're going to get 10 inches here. So this is the shoulder. This is your shoulder going here. Alright? Yes, so this is the shoulder line here. Right? So we are going this way to this line here. So we get the shoulder, we get the bust, we get the waist, and we get the hip line. So this is the hip line. As you see, alright, shoulder, bust, waist, hip, right? So now, here is where the measurement comes in to do. You see the calculation we do on this paper. This is where the measurement comes in. So let's work with the shoulder first, right? So remember, our shoulder was our shoulder, where is shoulder measurement there? Okay, our shoulder was 20 inches across here. So remember, this is our shoulder here, right? Across here. So our shoulder here, you could take it from the back. If you don't got nobody for take it from the back for you, you could take it from the front here, right? So this is our shoulder. So now we need to divide this shoulder measurement, the full shoulder measurement we get, we need to divide it in half, right? So well, for instance, you need to divide it in 2, right? So we get the shoulder measurement. So let's say your shoulder, your full shoulder width is 20 inches. We're going to divide it in half. So we're going to take 10 inches and we're going to put it on this line here. So we take our 10 inches, right? And we're putting it on this line here. So our 10 inches going right here. So this is our 10 inches here, going on this line here. Now we need to divide the bust. But before we divide this bust, we need to get, because remember, use a plus size. Let me say use a plus size person. You want every fit in every detail, right? You want a fit very good. You don't want nothing to be too big, nothing to be too small. So you want a good fit. So now you see this measurement, we see this line between the bust and the shoulder line here, these two lines. We're going to split this line in half and it's going to give us our across front. So we're going to put this line here, put this line here. So this from your shoulder to your bust is 12 inches. So now we're going to split this in half and we're going to take 6 inches here. So we take 6 inches and we take 6 inches there. So we split that in half. So we're going to get our ruler and we're going to line this up and we're going to bring this line here. We're going to bring this line here across here. We're going to bring across this line. So this line here now, become our front. So it's going to become our across front. Across front. So this becomes, so you have your shoulder, you have your across front, you have your bust, you have your waist, and now you have your hip. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines we're working with. So now let's divide the shoulder. So we divide the shoulder was 20, we divide it in half, we get 10. So we 10 go in here. So this is going to be 10 go in there, right? So now the across front. Now what is the across front is 21 inches. So we split the across front in half and we get in 12 and a half. Not how much is the across front? The across front, okay, the across front is 21, so we get 10 and a half, sorry. So we get in 10 and a half because we're dividing it in half, right? So 10 and 10 is 20, and then the 1 is 21, so we split that in half. So it's 10 and a half coming here. So this is going to be 10 and a half, right? Because remember, your across front, it could be 20, it could be 19, it could be higher, it could be lower, but this is a plus size I'm working with here. So now since we do the across front, let's work on the bust line now. So the bust is 44 inches. So 44 inches plus we add 1 inch to it equal 45 inches. Plus we divide it by 4 equal 11 and a quarter. Because the 1 inch we add gonna work for the seam and the stitching line, right? And we 11 and a quarter, we going down here. We going down here. So this is 11 and a quarter coming on your bust line. So you put 11 and a quarter coming on your bust line right here, right? So you have all this measurement here, the final measurement. So now let's work on the waist. So this is your waist. So your waist is 41 inches. We're gonna add 2 inches to that, give us 43 inches. And the 2 inches that we add going minus go work for the ease, the stitching line, and the dart. So 41 for your waist plus 2 inches give us 43 minus divided by 4 give us 10 and 3/4. So we're gonna take our tape measure and we're gonna look for the 10 here. This is the 10, and we're gonna go 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? We're gonna go 3/4, 10 and 3/4. We're gonna go here. So this gonna be 10 and 3/4, 10 and 3/4. That is your waist. Now let's work on the hip. So the hip is 60 inches, right? So the hip is 60 inches. 60 plus we add 2 inches. This gonna work for ease, dart, we call it stitching line. So 60 plus 2 give us 62. We divided by 4, we end up with 15 and a half. So look for your hip line and 15 and a half. So 15, we come down 15 from this line, 15 and a half, bring us still here. So this is 15 and a half. So now this is how our measurement going, right? So now I'm going to get the ruler and I'm going to connect this line. But before we connect the line, now from your bust, from your shoulder line, come down 1.5 inches, measure down 1.5 inches, right? Now the next measurement you have to get this line here from your neck to your shoulder here. So whatever is your neck from your shoulder, we need to put it here. So let's say your neck is 5 inches, right? From your neck to your shoulder, let's say it's 5 inches, or let's say 7. It could be 5, it could be 7, it could be 6, it could be less, it could be more, because a slimmer person gonna have a smaller number in from your neck to your shoulder. A smaller person or a slimmer person, somebody who weighing less weight, gonna have a smaller number. So let's say you use a plus size and your own is 6 inches. It come in this line. So you're going to measure from the marking. You go down 2 inches here. You're going to put the 6 inches here, and you're going to come here. and you're gonna put a mark right here. Right? You put a mark there, and then you're gonna get your ruler and you're gonna connect this line here. You're gonna connect here. Now remember, this is for plus size, right? Everything done there, all the measurement done there, you know, we calculate there. You're gonna connect here. So this become your shoulder. This become your shoulder, right? So this become your shoulder. Okay, because remember this is your shoulder line, but remember your shoulder have a slant. So this becomes your shoulder here. So now, your neck measurement, you're gonna need your neck measurement. How low down you want the top. So you measure from your neck underneath here to how low you want your top. Let's say you want it above your bust by your chest. Remember, you got your chest line right here. Remember, this is your front, right? Your across front. So you do the guidance. Don't let it pass the bust, because if it pass the bust, it's gonna be too low. So let's say you want your neck 6 inches. You're gonna come right by this line here, right like this line. Let's say you want it 2 inches, you come here. You want it 3 inches, you come here. 4 inches, you come here. 5 inches, you come here. You want it more low. Once you think go across the bust, you come quite here if you want. So I will show you how to put these lines in. So you're gonna get your marker, and depends on where you want your neck to be. Let's say you want your neck here. You're gonna slant it and you're gonna come there. So you're gonna get a smaller neckline. You want a bigger neckline, you do the same thing, you just slanting down. You come the same way, you slant down. So you get a bigger neckline. You want a much bigger neckline, you come down the same way you're coming down. Alright, so the neckline become bigger every time, or larger every time you measure down. So you see it come low. Let's say you want it to the across front. You want it to choke up, you come down right here to the across front. So this here now become bigger, the line become bigger, right? So you got different way you could, different neckline. You could put in different neckline how you want it. Alright? So this is the first neckline. If you want to come down the first neckline, you come down the first neckline here. Alright? So you got so many ways you can do this, but this is just the easiest way I showing you how to do. So if you want a high neckline, you come down about 2 inches if you want your neckline close to your neck. If you want it a little farther, you come down 4 inches. If you want a little farther, you come down 5. If you want a little farther, you come down 6 inches, right? If you want it lower, you come down 10 inches. It all depends on you, but remember, you don't want your bust to show. If you want a bust, like your bust to show, you come down like 10 inches and so on, right? So it's up to you. So this is the neckline here we're working with. So let's work with the neckline. Let's work with this neckline here, the one will come down right by the across front. Let's work with this one here. Let me get a proper marker so you can see better. Let's work with that one there. Alright, let me get a proper marker for you. So let's work with this neckline here. Because if you're a plus size person, you're going to need some room in your neck. You don't need nothing to choke up, because if you're a plus size, you don't need your neck to be choked up, right? So we're working with this one here. Now, let's connect these lines now. So we're going to connect this line to this line to this line. Now we're going to come in 1/2 inch on this line here, right? We're coming in 1/2 inch on this line here. So come in 1/2 inch, or come in 1/2 inch here, right on this line. These markers dry. Let's see if I get the next one. Let me see if I get the next one here. So come in 1/2 inch here, and then we're gonna curve this 1, 2, 3. Right now, to don't curve this too deep, we could make a mark here. All right. So now we're gonna come and we're gonna set this curve rule here. So we're setting this curve rule here and here to this marking here. All right, this marking right here. And we're gonna come and we're gonna curve this out here. Curving this out. So this become our armhole, right? Now, if you want to shape yourself, you can shape yourself, right? You can shape yourself. As you see, I gave you a little room here. You obliged to take that little room there. You can come in. You can curve your armhole. You can curve your armhole like this, from this line right here back to this line. All right, you can curve it like that back to this line here. But I give you, as a plus size, I give you a little more room, so you don't got enough room for staying, and it won't be too tight under your arm. Right now, what we need to do now, we need to connect from the arm to the waist and then to the bust. Now, the ruler we're going to use for do that, we're going to shape ourselves, right? We're going to shape ourselves. If you are a square person and you don't have shape, you can shape yourself. You don't want to come down with this line square like this. Let me just draw it with a pencil, with a pen. You don't want to come down like this, right? That gives you all you want. So when you measure, you have to come for the hip now. You have to come back in, and this top won't look good. Let me show you something. This top won't look good because you're going to have this kind of curve here, right? You don't want the shape. You don't want the shape here at all. So what we're going to do now, so since we have the bust connect, right? We have the waist connect. Now we need to, and we have the hip. So this is the hip line here where we put the measurement. Now let's connect all these measurements here now. So for the waist, we're going to curve ourselves here with this ruler. You can curve it with this ruler because I want to give you a shape. So I use this to give you a shape. So it come back into your measurement. And then we're going to use this ruler this way. And we're going to come and we're going to curve this here like this. So you see, you get a very nice top. So this is a top for a 44 waist, a 44 bust, sorry. So the bust is 44 inches. The waist is 41 inches. The hip is 60 inches. So this is the top for the 60 inches top. This is the front of the top. So you mark front. And you're cutting one or a fold, or if you want to cut two with two different color. So you're cutting one on fold. Now we're going to add some seam allowance. Even though it have seam allowance inside already, we're going to still add a 1 centimeter seam allowance. We want to be sure we have this top having all the seam allowance already. So you don't have to add any more seam allowance to this top, right? Because it have it inside already, right? But if, let me say, you draft your top without seam allowance, you have to go back and you're going to have to add the seam allowance around the top and around the shoulder so that you can stitch it. And depends on how much shoulder seam line you want to add. You need to, if you ain't add it in the measurement, but we already add it in the measurement, so we don't have to go and add any seam allowance. Now to take out the seam allowance from this pattern, you're gonna go from the inside, and it depends on how much seam allowance you put. If it's 1/2 inch, you're gonna go and you're gonna mark it out, right? You're gonna come and you're gonna mark out the 1/2 inch from inside, so you're gonna know that you already put seam allowance to this pattern here. You're gonna come and you're gonna mark out the seam allowance that you put. All right, come in and we're marking it out. And we already have seam allowance in this top. I'm going to show you, if you don't have seam allowance, how to add the seam allowance. But this one is where we already have the seam allowance in the measurement. So we're just trying to take it out so that we can know where the stitching line is. All right. So we're taking out that seam allowance too. And we're going to take it in from the side because we already have seam allowance in the drafting, in the measurement. So this is our seam allowance. Taking out here, taking out here. This is our seam allowance. Alright, now for the hemline, we didn't put any hem in the hemline. So this is up to your boss. Now how long you want your top, you can add, whether you want it 4 inches more long. If you want your top 4 inches more long, just come from here and you add in the 4 inches, how much ever long you want your top. You want 4 or 2 inches more, how long you want your top. And you come and you add the amount you want. You come here and you add the amount you want, and then you put your seam line how much ever you want. So let's say you want 4 inches, you add your 4 inches more, and then you add your hemming allowance, right? You add your hemming allowance how much ever you want. So let me get a next piece of paper and let me show you how to add this hem allowance. So we don't put 2 inches here, but you want your thing to be 4 inches. So you're gonna get your, so you have 2 inches here, but you want it 4 inches. So you just continue measuring. Measure. You have 2 there, and then you measure the other 2 inches, right? 4 inches. Then we're gonna put we hem allowance. So you're gonna come now and you're gonna connect this here, and then you want your hem. So you want your hem to be 1 inch. You're gonna come and you're gonna mark your hem allowance. You're gonna mark your hem allowance, and then you're gonna come and you're gonna connect this to here. We're connecting this here. Connecting, and you come and you connect this here. Alright, you come and you take out back your seam allowance here, because we have it in here already. So this would be the front of your top here, right? This is you up to your hip, and this is the amount you add in, so that when you don't hem up, your top have room for sit on your bum, or your top won't be too short, right? Because if you input the amount, if you input the length of the top you want, remember this is just up to your hip. Hey, you have to get the length of the top, because you have to get the length how long you want the top, and you want your hem allowance. So let's measure and see how long this top is. So up to your weigh your hip, from your hip to from your shoulder to your hip is 27.5 inches. Now that gonna be too short for you, because that is your hip, right? So you need, if you say if you're a tall, especially a fluffy person, 33 inches to 32.5 inches, okay. Because remember, from your waist, this is your waist here. This is a navel breaker. This is a crop top to your waist. So remember, your waist gonna be like a crop top. So, and your shoulder, your hip is 9 or say 10, 13 inches or whatever down from your waist. This won't be enough. This is gonna be right by your hip. So you need some length in this top. So you add like 5.25 inches more. So this is going to include the hem and the stitching and everything. All right, so this is your top that you have here. Let's say you didn't add seam allowance into your top. You're going to go now and you're going to add this seam. This is for if you didn't add it in the measurement. All right, you're going to go and you're going to add your seam allowance to the top, or whichever seam allowance you want. You're going to go and you're going to add it, because you have to get room to stitch this top. You can't stitch it in on your measurement, because it's going to be too tight. So if you didn't add no seam allowance, okay, the red line in the inside is where the seam allowance add already. So this line here is where we add seam already, right? This is where we add in the measurement. So this line here is where we add the seam in the measurement already. This line here is where we didn't add any seam. All right, so we now adding it, which is this line here. Hope you understand. So we're gonna add our seam allowance, because let's say we didn't add it in our measurement. We're gonna add it. So you're adding it now, because you didn't add it in your measurement, and you go wrong and you add it all wrong. All right, There's if. The only way you're adding the seam allowance outside is if you calculate it in your measurement. But if you calculate it in your measurement, you don't have to add that. You take it out inside here, and you go around and you add the seam allowance to wherever. You have to add the allowance to the neck as well, so because remember, you didn't add it to your thing. So this would be the front or your top, right? So I will go a line and draw a balance line on this onto this top, so that if I cut two pieces, it's gonna be balanced. So this would be the front of my top. So you're gonna mark C, F, meaning is center, front. So now what you're gonna do, you're gonna cut out this this top here. You're gonna get your paper scissors, and you're gonna cut out this top here. All right. And we're going to cut out this top here. Cutting that top out. So this would be your front to your top. So this is for a plus size top, alright? So folding this here. I always like to fold mine's to cut it because I will get the right measurement. So you're folding that, and you're cutting this out. And you're cutting out, this is the seam allowance here. Cut this out. Right, so this is a plus size top. So you're cutting this out here. This, if you did this line, is if you didn't add any seam allowance, you're gonna cut this out here. You're gonna cut that out here. So this is what the front of your top going to look like for a plus size, right? Remember, plus size pattern is going to be more larger than a medium size. So this is your top for a plus size. So this blue line is if you didn't add the seam allowance, all right? If you add the seam allowance, which is with the red line, all you have to do is come and cut here. If you add the seam allowance, all you have to do is come and cut this line here, this red line here, because remember the seam allowance already add. This is the seam allowance that we add in the measurement. If you didn't add the seam allowance, then you cut it out on this line here. But if you already add the seam allowance, you don't need this added seam allowance inside, all right? Because you already added to the pattern, which is here. So this is your original measurement, and this red line is the seam allowance if you add it in your measurement. All right, so you come and you cut here. If you already add the seam allowance to your measurement, you come and you cut here. And you cut. Come and you cut. So this would be the front of your top. So this is what the front of the top will look like. All right. So this is the front or the top, what the front of the top look like. So get a piece of paper and you draft the top the same way. So this top is for 44 bust. This front of this top is for 44 bust, a 41 waist, and a 60 inches hip. Okay, and we do the dividing of the measurement, right? The final measurement for the bust line, what we're going to put is 11 and a quarter. The final measurement for the waist is 10 and 3/4. The final measurement for the hip is 15. All right, 15 and a half. So this is your final measurement for the hip, final measurement for the waist, final measurement for the bust. Okay, so I hope I was able to make this clear for you. So let's draft the back of this top. So we draft the front, and now we're going to do the back of the top. Now you can put your front of your top over. You can put your front of your top over this one, and you can trace around this top. All right, you can trace around this front of this top. All right, because the front of the top and the back of the top is the same measurement. Okay, but sometimes your back maybe might be a little wider than your front. I will show you what to do in that aspect. So let's trace the back of this top, the front of this top, sorry. We're gonna trace around the front of this top here. Trace around the front of this top. First of all, we're gonna draw a line. Let's draw a line straight down this paper. I'm gonna draw a line straight down here. Let's draw a line straight down. So that's our line where we're gonna place our front of our pattern. We're gonna take this pattern and we're gonna place it here on this line here, so it could line up properly, so we could get an even draft, because this line going to act as the back top, the back of the top. So we drafting in the seam allowance and everything for this pattern. Right, drafting every single thing. So we drafting it in, and I will show you what to do, because the back neck won't be so wide. So we drafting in every single thing, because all the measurement is the same. Sometimes the back measurement will be different and will be vary a little, not much. If your own vary a little, I will show you what to do. And you draw in all this line here, so it make it easier for you. Copy the back of this pattern and let marker getting dry. So we copy in the back of this pattern, put the line for the bust, put in the line for the front, for the waist, for the hip. Right, this is the hip, so the hem gonna be from this line, how much ever. So we put in all this mark in here. So this will be the back of your top, right? So we done gather in mark. All we have to do is get our ruler and we're gonna connect these lines. Connecting these lines. Connecting these lines. All these lines you're connecting. Yeah, you need these lines on your pattern so you can know which line you're referring to. So this here, so is the bust. This is the waist. This is the hip, and this is the hem. So we have the front. We're gonna cross off the front, and this is the across back. Is the back. Right, there's the across back you have here. So now you need to draw a line straight up here. Need to draw a line straight up here. Straight up. You see the line we're going straight up there? Need to draw that line straight up there. Now from that line, we're gonna measure up how much we want the neck. We're carrying this right up. Because the back neck gonna be different to the front. So for the back neck, you're gonna measure down 1 inch. 1 inches, because the back neck measure down. This is 6 inches here. This front neck measure down. So we don't want the front neck. The back neck, we're gonna measure down 1 inches, and we're gonna get our curve rule. We're gonna get our curve rule, and we're gonna curve this like this. We're gonna curve this way. So this would be our back. All right, not this. This is not our back. This, we just copy the front from this top. So that would be our back. So this here would be out. So now, remember you don't add your seam allowance, so you gotta come and take it out in here. So everything done in this top. All right, everything done. If you find your back a little broader, by 1/2 inch, all you have to do is come out 1/2 inch here. You bust a little wider in the back. You by your bust part there, you come out 1/2 inch. Waist, you come out 1/2 inch. Come out 1/2 inch at the hip, and all you have to do is come on. If your clothes is a little wider, right, you come and you measure back in. Come out 1/2 inch, and you come and you just widen the pattern. That's if you don't have a thing, you come and you just widen the pattern 1/2 inch more. You understand? You come and you widen it 1/2 inch more. Okay, that is if your back is a little wider. So you just come and you widen it a little more, about 1/2 inch, because 1/2 and 1/2 is 1. Right? So let me say you want a 1 inch wider in the back. You want a 1 inch, you just put 1/2 inch at each side. Right? 1/2 inch. So when you cut the back, it's going to be 1 inch. Okay? You do the same for the armhole. If you find it a little too much inside on your shoulder, you come and you add the 1/2 inch to it. Okay? You come and you do the same thing. You add the 1/2 inch to it, so it's going to be a little, give a little room onto your shoulder. If you find it too tight, the back too tight, you come and you widen it 1/2 inch. So the back now going to come and match up to the top. If your front and the top that you cut from the front and the back just so is okay, you don't have to put this line here. Alright, that is for just this extra line here is for who back wider than the front. But if your back and your front is the same thing, you don't have to put this line. This line is just for a wider back in all area, like the hip, back hip wider, the back waist wider, the armhole wider, the across back wider, then you put this here. Right? So now let's take out the seam allowance. So this is the back, right? So this is a 44 bust, 41 waist, and 60 hip. So this is the measurement for it. And the final measurement for the hip, 15 and a half, the waist final measurement 10 and 3/4, and the bust measurement 11 and 1/4. So this is the final measurement you're putting on this line here. On all the line that marked, there's the final measurement you put in here. Alright, so this is how you divide your measurement and you get the final measurement. This is the back. So you put back. This is, let me put the line I want to draw. So this is just a balance line, a green line you call it. So you put CB. So that stands for center back. And you could cut two. You could cut one on a fold if you want. You cut one on a fold. You could cut one on fold, right? Or you could cut two. So you can get an opening in the back. If your back have like a slant, well then you could cut two pieces and you could take in the extra. Right, so this is the back of the top. So now you're going and you're taking out your seam allowance the same as the front, because the back already have seam allowance inside. If it didn't have, you add like how I show you how to add the seam allowance. Alright, so we come in and we taking out our seam allowance. For allowance, you're going to measure your 1 inch from here, your 1 inch. Measuring down your 1 inches. And you come and you connect your line there for your 1 inch. Connect. So that would be your line. So you're going to cut that out. You're going to fold here. You're going to fold here. Right when you're ready to cut it. So let's cut this out. So this is how you get your back. So let's cut out this. Here is my scissors. So this is the back of the top. And remember, if you didn't add the seam allowance, remember you gotta go and add your seam allowance to this to here, right? So if you want the extra, this is the extra for the back, you put here. Now the stitching line, you'll have to go and you add the stitching line as if your back wider. All right, but if you're backing wider, you don't have to put this line. This is would be the stitching line for your back. All right, this if your back wider, then you come and you add this line here. But if your back and your front is the same, you don't have to do that. So you're gonna come and you're gonna add all the stitching line around here. All right, there. You're gonna come and you're gonna add it all around, and they do the same. But if your back and your front is the same thing, you don't have to add this line. So you're gonna cut this out. This is where you add this stitching line. You cut here if you didn't add the seam allowance in between, and if your back your pattern wider than your front, then you cut on this line here. Cut on this line here. I remember this would be your top, this would be your seam line, this would be the extra you add, and this would be your cutting line and your seam line. So this would be your top if your back wider. You come and you add a 1/2 inch. So instead of this line be your top, this is going to be the back of your top. If your back is a little wider than your front, this would be the back of your top. Because you add 1/2 inch to it, this line would be your score, your seam line. Right? If your back and your front is the same thing, this would be your back, this would be your seam line. And you cut on that line. So let's say our back and front is the same thing, we cut on this line here. But if our back is wider, we cut on that line here. and this would be the front of your top here. Alright, so the back neck would always be higher. Make sure your top match up. If you have to walk this top, make sure the armhole and everything matching up as you see how you walk in mine. So this is the back here, the top. The back of the top going always higher than the front, and this is the front. So you see everything come and match up here. Right, if when you draft your top and the back arm is a little wider, all you have to do, make sure this here match up properly, and you come and you scoop it off. All you have to do is just come, look at where it match up, where it and you come and you even it up with the, but the back of the pattern does always be a little wider. So you come and you eat it up and you cut off this piece here, so the armhole could match back to that and the neck could match back to that. Alright, so that's the back and the front of your top. Now, my advice to you, you see this pattern we just draw for plus size here with the 40 bust, 41 waist and 60 hip. Take this pattern, copy it on a fresh piece of paper, put up this one here because this would be your main pattern. Put up this one here and use the copy piece for do whatever you want. Always keep your basic pattern that you draft so that you can use it to do every other style that you want. Never cut up your basic bodice and your basic skirt or whatever. So my advice, copy this back and this front of this pattern on two fresh piece of paper. Keep this here, keep the original one here, fold it, roll it, don't fold it, roll it so it won't get any seam line. Right, you roll it and you get a pin. What you can do is get a pin and you pin it. You pin it, you bring the pin over and you leave it so it won't get any seam or any crease when you take it out. Or you could get a rubber band and you put over it. Right, so it would always open and it won't have any crease when you're ready to open it. Right, so my advice to you is copy it, roll it when you finish, and you have your front and you have the back of your pattern here. You see all matching up here. Just make sure it match up. So this is your front, this is your back, this is your front. So I hope I was able to make this video helpful, and I hope you enjoy it, and thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.